When you are witnessing to an atheist, you need to be aware of the games that they play. And one game in particular that they play with Christians is they try to relegate a discussion to logic only. They want to handcuff someone to logic only so that they can be right and you can be wrong. Now, what's really interesting about this is that here is a person that is trying to convince you that there is no purpose to life, there is no meaning to life, and that was their purpose and meaning of trying to convince you. They also believe that order arose out of chaos. They ignore many facets of life to try to trap you in a little logical sequence box. Now, as Christians, you need to be aware of this, and you need to be unashamed of what they're trying to do so that you can further express the truth. Now, so let me give you a 2,000-year-old logical question. And this might be older than this, but from what I understand, it was like one of the questions the Greeks would give their first-year law students. And if you pay attention to this, and if I can explain it well, then you will grasp that logic doesn't always work. Logic is good. Logic is useful. Logic is helpful. I am a proponent of logic. But logic is not the only kind of logic. Let me give you the example. A teacher of law, who is a lawyer himself, made an agreement with a student. The student wanted to be a lawyer, and so he agreed with his teacher. He said, "Teacher, I am poor, so if you will go ahead and teach me what you know about being a lawyer so that I can be a lawyer, when I win my first case, I will pay you what I owe you." So teacher and student agree upon this. So the teacher educates the student in all the ways of law. The student now becomes a lawyer himself. And as it so turns out, he decides not to pursue law. He's just like, I am not going to do this. The teacher becomes upset, wants his money, and so he takes the student into the court of law. And here was his presentation to the judge. He said, "Judge, myself and the student made an agreement that he should pay me when he wins his first case. And so if he wins this case today, me being the plaintiff and him being the defendant, if he wins his case today, then he should pay me because he's won his first case. And if I win because he has, wronged me, then he should pay me because he has wronged me." And the student's defense was, "Well, Your Honor, if I lose the case today, then I haven't won my first case, so by law I shouldn't have to pay. And if I win because I'm the defendant, I should not have to pay." What then do you do with this scenario? Now, I know for some of us, this is really easy because we're using things outside of logic to help determine, like, this student was being lazy or this student was being nefarious or whatnot. But when you are strictly trying to learn law and you're trying to learn about logic and the rules of logic, you will quickly see that this judge is in a precarious scenario who is supposed to determine the logical outcome of this. Because the student is the defendant, if he wins the first case, well, he should pay, but then he shouldn't pay because he won the case. And if he loses, he shouldn't pay because of the law, but if he loses, he shouldn't pay. You start to see the dynamic here, that logic begins to feed upon itself. It is a very satirical situation, a very oxymoronic situation. So law does not always take us to the bottom of matters. And again, from those on the outside, you could easily see that this kid was trying to turn things in and on of itself, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I really screwed that over. So anyhow, this student is hiding behind the intentions of his heart. But anybody that has been alive long enough, who has gathered enough experience, know that sometimes our intentions can be evil, and sometimes we can see those intentions in others. But logically, how do you ever prove such? And so you're in this dilemma. So when you're dealing with an atheist, oftentimes they will try to handcuff you to logic. Like, you can only use logic. Like, this is the only way that anything could ever be explained, etc. But this is not even how they live. Logic is a portion of their life. It is not all of their life. And you can certainly, if you step back and look, you will find out how they illogically use logic to try to win debates.